Hi everyone, it's Tiny Tom Logan and it's my second day filming and trying to cover the booths at CES. So the first thing on the agenda for me today, and it's a Tuesday, 9 o'clock in with Asus. And there's quite a few little bits and bobs. I know we've not got any motherboards or any graphics cards to get excited about, but they've got some cool RGB things. They've actually come up with this weird Venturi effect to help keep dust down on their laptops. And some cool stuff going on with the RGB implementation on the keyboards, where you can actually show the CPU temperature from your CPU and your graphics card and stuff. So let's crack on. Okay, so moving on to something just quickly that they've been working on with Uhd 64, and that is a way where if you have a look at the number keys here and the F keys at the top, you can actually display your CPU temperature on the keys, so you don't even need to necessarily have a look. And then if I just run a benchmark in the background, you'll see the numbers start to creep up. Hang on a second. You'll see the numbers start to creep up, and they will eventually go red as well. So we're at 81, 86 at the moment, 85. So you can see that the F number is lit up here, 82, 81, 80. Now we're down to 79. I think it's kind of cool. One of the things I have said to them straight away is the fact that the 79, the fact that they go between the Fs and the numbers on the keyboard. I did say to them that I think they need to have the F numbers to be the 10, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, you know, and upwards, and then these be the 29, 39, that sort of thing, so that you have the single digit numbers on this side. I think if they could get that sorted before it comes out with Uhd, I think this is actually kind of cool, and it will certainly help you when you're on long gaming sessions to be able to keep an eye on your temperatures. I think the other thing as well is it would be kind of cool if you could have that addressable, so that it would work with your graphics card as well, so that you could change between the two. Again, if you're having a really long gaming session, just to be able to look down at the keys and see that you've got, you know, F6 for the 60 and then 7 for the 67, I think that's actually quite a cool use of the Aura platform. Okay, this is a new product. It's the ROG Strix Flair. We've got a new full cherry RGB keyboard coming up relatively soon. There's a couple of things that they've said to me about it that they've asked me to kind of mention. One, they've moved all the media keys and your volume keys over to the left hand side, so you don't have to take your hands off of the mouse, because obviously normally with you know, some of the other brands, they're over on this side, and they're saying that this is easier for a gamer to be able to keep their hands on. Volume, maybe I might agree with. Media keys, I don't know, it depends what you've got them signed to really. When we flip the keyboard round, it does have a channel so you can put your cable for your headset through, which is kind of cool, and it does follow through onto the palm rest as well. If you've seen any of the new Asus laptops, they've got a dual texture kind of effect, and they've got one. You can just about see that there is the ROG line. The other thing that they've done, which is kind of cool, is you've got separate sections that you can pull out. You'll get one with the ROG logo, which you can just put in, and then you'll get a blank, which I suppose you can send it off to get etched yourself. You could get some reversed vinyl or something to put on the other side, so you could customize it, have it themed with your rig or something like that. So that's, you know, that's a nice customizing option. Another thing with the keyboard is it does have a pass through, so that you can plug your mouse straight into it, keep things kind of tidy. One of the things I would say though is straight away, it makes me think that we're going to need to get some shorter mouse cables available on the market. So if you are using a pass-through, you haven't got too much cable all around on your desk. Okay, so this is the ROG terminal. I'm going to turn my lights down in a second, but this is basically an external addressable RGB control unit. So you've got a little power button, a little power connector at the top. This will be where your USB would go into the actual main system. You've got a manual switch that you can go through some profiles on this, but it's mainly controlled with the Aura software. So if I just turn the lights down so that you can have a look, you can see that there's one wired up here, and you can see it's just cycling through. You can set the colors for that manually, do it to whatever you want. But one of the cool things that they've done is, as I said to you, it's an addressable RGB strip controller. And if I just move the camera up a little bit, I'm going to start the video for you in a second. It's kind of difficult for the camera to be able to pick it up, but you can see they've got the RGBs around the back. And you could have these on your desk, you could have them in your rig, you could put them wherever you want, but they put them on the back of the monitors. And what it's doing is it's showing you the colours that is on the screen, so you can see when you get the grass, it's green on that. And they are all, like I said, addressable. So it's a bit like the Ambilight kind of idea, but you could move it into, like I said, if you were playing a game, you could have all the colours showing from the game around your desk. That's probably where I'd use it the most. One of the things that I would say though, and it's probably the area that they're not going to like me talking about, is the cables around the back. There are a lot of them, and the implementation of actually connecting them all up, I feel, was a little bit clumsy. There are big, thick connectors, and I think it's just something that they probably could have spent a little bit more time on. One of the things that I do know though is they will work with any addressable strips, so maybe it might be an idea when this finally does get launched, grab the terminal so that you use it as the hub, and then maybe use some different aftermarket strips that you'll be able to link together better. Okay, so I'm going to nip in on this one just so that you get to see the kind of size difference. But this is one of the new 65-inch big format gaming displays. It was announced at the Nvidia conference on Sunday night that I went to. So this is just kind of a demo. We don't know any prices yet. We don't know when they're going to come out. But essentially it's 4K, 120 Hertz. It's HDR as well. Super low latency. It's got G-Sync built in. But yeah, it's a 65-inch HDR display. The colours on it are really, really nice. But it's the type of thing where it's so big, there's going to be a lot of people kind of talking about the possibility of using it in like your front room. It's actually got an Nvidia Shield built in. Yeah, it's actually got an Nvidia Shield built in so that it's... Does it feel like one of those dodgy cam films from the cinema? It does for me. Anyway, so it's got an Nvidia Shield built in, so is Android display in the background. So you can use it to stream all your films, you can watch online content, and it's all built in there, and you can just use it with the little remote, which I think is rather cool. Okay, so if any of you are lucky enough to have an Android TV at home, you'll be familiar with the interface. You can install all your apps on it as well, but if you've got an Nvidia Shield, you'll be even more familiar with it. You can install, well, it's got Plex on it as well. So if you've got a Plex server at home, let's face it, quite a lot of us do, YouTube, Netflix, all of that sort of stuff, and it's all done. And you can still have it connected to your PC at the same time. What's the magic button to turn the game back on again? Okay, we're going to get it this time. So with a long press on the button, which I wasn't doing before, you can literally go straight from this menu and go straight back into your game. So you can go from the Shield straight back to your PC gaming. That, I think, is very cool. Okay, so this is about the new Dust Venturi channel that they're going to be building into the next range of ROG laptops. If you have a look at what's going on the screen, I'll show you the display now, and then I'll go and show you what it actually looks like in the flesh. But you'll see that it's got that anti-dust channel down the side, and they drop a load of balls on it in a minute, and you'll see that it actually does throw the dust out the side rather than out through the fins. So it should help keep all your dust down, particles out of the laptop. Obviously that's going to keep temperatures down long term as well. There you go, you can see all the balls spinning out the side, which I think is actually quite cool. Okay, so a lot of you asked me to come and take a look at the bezel-free display. So there are two strips in between the bezels of the monitors, and essentially they refract the light, so it kind of tricks you into thinking that the bezels are completely missing. Now I know you can still see the subtle lines there, but if you were to choose between that and thick hard bezels down the side, I think it actually looks pretty cool. Consider it's completely passive, doesn't take any power or anything like that. It's literally just refracting the light that's coming from the monitors themselves. The only thing I would say is it's 130 degrees angle that you need to see it properly. So the monitors themselves are on quite a steep curve. Obviously you can now see the black strip down the line because you do need to be sat perfectly in the middle. But the fact that my camera kind of loses them pretty much straight away once you get into the right spot, I think that's pretty cool. So if I was to redo the camera again, that black line would go away. You can see on the left hand side you can't see it at all, so you just need to kind of get yourself sat and seated at the right distance and nicely in the middle, and then it does all kind of seamlessly disappear. Okay, just before I leave, I thought I would give you a quick look at the new ROG G703. It's the first laptop 144Hz display. It's only 1080 resolution, but let's face it, if you've got a laptop, you're going to be struggling to get 144 frames per second anyway. But you shouldn't have too many problems with this. It's a 1080, fully fledged 1080 GPU in there, which is overclockable. You can also overclock an i7 7820HK CPU up to 4.2 GHz as well. It's got a built-in wireless dongle for an Xbox controller, so if you were playing games and you would prefer to play it with a controller rather than the keyboard and the mouse, that's all built in as well. It's got an Xbox hotkey. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's a VA panel, but like I said, it's all about the 144Hz. And I've just double checked, it is G-Sync as well, so you can sync up all of those battery frames, and then if you're playing a game, I don't know, like the Dota games for example, or Overwatch, where you can get plenty of frames per second smashing out, you'll be able to sync those perfectly up to 144 frames per second. Okay then peeps, so that's going to wrap up my tour of the Asus booth. It's CES 2018. I tried to give you a lot of the kind of interesting stuff. There's actually way more going on. They've got more gaming laptops, they've got monitors on display, keyboards on display. In fact, monitors on display. I didn't even talk about the HDR or the 200Hz monitor. I suppose you best go around and have another look. Okay, so I've kept the light off for the minute, but this is the PG27UQ. It's the world's first 144Hz 4K UHD HDR monitor. So it's HDR, 4K and 144Hz. If I turn the light up, you can see the bezel slightly thick. I did ask them about the bezel. They said it's because it's first generation and things will progress and get better. It's just the fact that you've got such a high refresh and it's HDR, they're struggling to keep the sides down. This one is the PG35VQ. It's 200Hz, it's 35-inch widescreen. It's a VA panel, before you ask. The one previous that I showed you, that was actually an IPS panel. So this one's a VA, nice wide, with a curve, but it's 200Hz refresh. So just imagine for all of those of you out there with playing your Dota or your any of your games where you know that the frames per second can make a difference. And let's face it, they're going to need to be quite high up, but Overwatch, that sort of thing, PUBG, with this up to 200 frames per second, and it can all be synced in and all lovely. It's G-Sync as well. I'm just finding the actual thing. I'll show you so it's 3440 by 1440. It's 21 by 90, frameless curved. QDR, yeah, you can just have a look. I'm trying to get around. There's loads of media here, and I'm taking up way too much time. So yeah. That's the last of it. Okay, so yeah, I did forget the monitors, and I probably shouldn't have done, but I'm trying to get as loads done as I can in a really short period of time, and there's actually lots of other people around, so it's kind of stop-go. So anyway, live and learn. Hope you enjoyed that. If you want to ask any questions underneath, you can. Also keep an eye on the OC3D website, because we are going to be putting news up. I'm not sure when I'm going to get these videos done, because I'm filming it all and I haven't had a chance to actually render anything yet. So maybe it's off to the hotel for me to try and get some videos put together and uploaded for you guys all to watch.